Mythological weapons. Excalibur, Mjolnir and other legendary blades. Ever wondered what makes a weapon so legendary that it echoes through the ages? Why swords, hammers, and spears become the stuff of myths and legends? Well, grab your popcorn and settle in, because today we're diving into the world of mythological weapons, from Excalibur and Mjolnir to some other blades you might not have heard of but are just as epic. Ready to embark on this mythical journey? Let's get started. Excalibur, the sword of King Arthur. So, let's kick things off with one of the most famous swords ever, Excalibur, the legendary blade of King Arthur. Now, King Arthur is a big deal in British folklore. Think knights in shining armor, the mystical land of Camelot, and the famous Knights of the Round Table. There's often some confusion between the sword in the stone and Excalibur. Some tales say they're the same, but many legends distinguish them. The sword in the stone proved Arthur's right to the throne when he pulled it out, while Excalibur was gifted to him later by the magical Lady of the Lake. Picture this. Arthur stands by a serene lake when an ethereal hand rises from the water, holding aloft a shimmering sword. That's how Excalibur enters the scene. The Lady of the Lake bestows it upon Arthur, signifying divine approval of his reign. Excalibur isn't just any sword, it's said to have magical powers. The blade is unbreakable, and in some stories, it blinds enemies with its brilliance. The scabbard prevents the wielder from losing blood. Throughout Arthur's reign, Excalibur plays a crucial role. From uniting Britain to battling invading forces, the sword is by his side. It's not just a weapon but a symbol of hope and unity for the people. After Arthur is mortally wounded in battle, he instructs one of his knights to return Excalibur to the lake. Reluctantly, the knight throws the sword back, and the Lady of the Lake's hand emerges to catch it. Excalibur has been a source of inspiration for centuries. From Thomas Malory's La Morte d'Arthur, to modern movies like King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, this legendary blade continues to captivate us. Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor. Switching gears to the chilly realms of Norse mythology, let me introduce you to Mjolnir, the mighty hammer of Thor, the god of thunder. The Norse pantheon is rich with gods, giants, and an intricate cosmos involving the 9 realms. The story of Mjolnir's creation is a wild one. It starts with Loki betting that 2 dwarf brothers, Brokkr and Sindri, couldn't make items as fine as those made by other dwarves. They forge Mjolnir, but thanks to Loki's meddling, the handle ends up shorter than planned. Mjolnir isn't your average tool. It's short-handled but packs a punch. Thor can throw it, and it will always return to his hand. It controls lightning and thunder. Only those who are worthy can lift Mjolnir. There are tons of stories where Mjolnir is front and center. One of my favorites is The Theft of Mjolnir, where the giant Thrym steals it, and Thor has to disguise himself as a bride to get it back. Mjolnir symbolizes so much: protection, consecration, and even fertility. During the Viking Age, people wore Mjolnir amulets as charms. It was a way to invoke Thor's protection and blessings. Thor and Mjolnir have made a massive impact on modern culture, especially through the Marvel Comics and the MCU. Beyond the movies, Mjolnir appears in video games, books, and is even referenced in areas like neo-paganism today. Other legendary blades and weapons. Alright, we've talked about Excalibur and Mjolnir, but there are so many other incredible weapons out there in mythology. Let's dive into a few more. Kusanagi no Tsurugi, the grass-cutting sword. Heading over to Japan, we've got Kusanagi no Tsurugi, which translates to the grass-cutting sword. It's one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, symbolizing the emperor's legitimacy. Legend has it that the storm god Susanoo slew an 8-headed dragon named Yamata no Orochi. While slicing off the dragon's tails, he discovered this divine sword inside one of them. Kusanagi symbolizes valor and is deeply embedded in Japanese culture. It's said to bestow the right to rule, linking the emperor to the divine. Durandal, the sword of Roland. Next up is Durandal, the sword of Roland, a champion of Charlemagne in the medieval French epic, The Song of Roland. This tale is all about chivalry, honor, and epic battles. Durandal isn't just sharp, it supposedly contains holy relics in its hilt, like a tooth of Saint Peter. It's indestructible, which comes in handy when you're fighting hordes of enemies. In the Battle of Ronchevo Pass, Roland makes his last stand. Rather than let Durandal fall into enemy hands, he tries to destroy it but fails due to its strength. Gungnir, Odin's spear. Back to Norse myths, let's talk about Gungnir, the spear of Odin, the chief of the gods. Odin's a pretty intense guy, wisdom seeker, war god, and all-around enigmatic figure. Like Mjolnir, Gungnir was crafted by master dwarven smiths. This spear is perfectly balanced and, once thrown, never misses its target. Plus, it always returns to Odin's hand. Gungnir represents authority and the power to enforce oaths. It's a symbol of wisdom and the consequences that come with great power. Other noteworthy weapons. Let's rapid fire through a few more because they're too cool to miss. From Persian mythology, Shamshir-e-Zamorodnigir is said to belong to legendary figures like King Solomon or other Persian kings. Under the sea we go to meet Poseidon, the Greek god of the ocean. His trident can cause earthquakes and storms, and create springs. In Slavic mythology, Perun is the god of thunder and lightning. His axe is thrown at evil people and spirits. If that doesn't get rid of bad vibes, I don't know what will. Runting and Nageling are the swords used by Beowulf in the epic poem. They represent the hero's strength but also the limits of even the greatest warriors. Common themes among mythological weapons. So, what's the deal with all these legendary weapons? Let's chat about some common threads. These weapons are often made by gods or other supernatural beings. They're not your run-of-the-mill armaments from ye old blacksmith. Many mythological weapons grant the right to rule or lead. They're physical manifestations of a character's legitimacy and destiny. They embody ideals like courage, justice, and honor. Heroes wield them not just to slay enemies but to uphold moral codes and protect their people. A recurring theme is that only those who are worthy can wield these weapons. It's a test of character, not just strength. These weapons often come with a heavy burden. Misusing them can lead to dire consequences. It's a reminder that great power requires wisdom and responsibility. Influence on modern storytelling and culture. Mythological weapons aren't just relics of the past, they've heavily influenced modern storytelling. From The Lord of the Rings, with swords like Anduril, to Game of Thrones, with Valyrian steel blades, the fantasy genre is brimming with magical weapons inspired by ancient myths. The hero's journey to acquire a legendary weapon is a classic storyline. It represents growth, self-discovery, and the fulfillment of destiny. Even today, weapons like swords and hammers symbolize justice, authority, and protection. They're used in logos, emblems, and even in branding. These stories teach us about history, culture, and morality in an engaging way. They make us think about human nature, our values, and the kind of heroes we admire. The enduring legacy. These weapons reflect our deepest desires for strength, justice, and the ability to protect what we love. They embody the timeless struggle between good and evil. Exploring these myths connects us to our ancestors. It's fascinating to see how these stories have shaped cultures and continue to influence us today. Even in our modern world, the themes behind these weapons resonate. They inspire us to create, imagine, and reflect on our own journeys. Wrapping it all up, so there you have it. From Excalibur's symbol of rightful kingship to Mjolnir being the mightiest hammer around, these mythological weapons have left an indelible mark on our collective imagination. They're not just cool artifacts from old stories, they're symbols that carry meaning across generations. They remind us of the heroism, valor, and sometimes the pitfalls of power. What's your favorite mythological weapon? Is there one we didn't cover that you think deserves the spotlight? Drop it in the comments below. Let's geek out together. If you enjoyed this mythical ride, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button for more epic content. Until next time, keep dreaming and stay legendary.